everyone, welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is a series where we're going to talk a little bit about and touch base upon various mythological beasts, beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything, I do apologize in advance. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about another creature from Greek myth. I see we have some fans of Greek mythology out there because this was a recommended animal, and this is going to be the Erymanthian Boar. Now, in Greek mythology, there were several different famed boars that popped up through the various lores and myths, Erymanthian being one, which is not the same one that all will reoccur within the same kind of almost generation of heroes in Calydon for the Caledonian boar hunt. Now, the Erymanthian boar is most famous for being associated with Heracles and being the fourth task, or the fourth labor, I should say, of his. But before I get to it, what does the boar look like? Well, it's an unusually large boar, so wild hog, and it was described as being shaggy, again, wild, and kind of this feral, tameless descriptions have been given to it. It had vast weight, so again, I'm thinking it's a very heavy, large animal based on some of the translations, and was supposedly had foaming jaws, as one script said. Now, it lived in the glens of Lampeia, and they were associated, or located, I should say, right next to the marshes of Erymanthus, and thus giving the boar its most famous name, the Erymanthian Boar. Now, there were also a couple alternative names. I'll post them down below, just because I do not want to mispronounce them, and I am not confident that I will pronounce them correctly. Now, with that said, the Erymanthian Boar, again, this large, fearsome, wild swine that would occasionally leave the marshlands and travel onto the groves of quote-unquote Arcadia, so Arcadia, and abuse the land and the surrounding area. So it was a problem. Now, for the fourth labor of Heracles, he was sent and tasked to capture the animal alive. Unlike some of his other feats, this one he had to bring the boar back alive. And so, if anybody knows anything about boar hunting, it is not a easy task, and they are very dangerous to deal with wild hogs. So having an overgrown one, even if you are the mighty Heracles, can be a truly terrifying prospect. And how he ended up capturing the boar was that he was assigned again by Eurystheus, the king, to bring it back alive. And so he tracked down where the boar was located, chasing it and shouting at it, kind of terrifying the animal and forcing it to run through this thicket, and eventually driving it into some thick areas of snow, so very deep snow drifts. And in doing so, was able to trap the exhausted animal, throw it in chains, and then toss it over his left shoulder, because he then carries the animal alive as it is struggling to escape all the way back to King Eurystheus and depositing the live beast to him. Of course, if you've heard some of these stories before, especially last week's episode, we talked about how the king was so terrified of the strength and power of Heracles that most often whenever Heracles came back successfully from any of his labors, he would hide in a bronze vessel. So think of this almost like a giant bronze jug that he had buried in the earth. And this is one of those instances that when he heard that Heracles successfully captured the boar, he jumped into that bronze vessel, hiding himself, thinking, I guess that would protect him from the wrath of Heracles. Anywho, that's pretty much the most iconic story, and the important aspect of the Erymanthian Boar was that it was linked to the labors of Heracles. Now, after the boar did die, the tusks of it were claimed to have been stored and kept for generations in a sanctuary of Apollo located in Cumae. And of course, over time, that they have since disappeared, but for years and years, there was a set of boar tusks in that location, and they thought it was the tusks of this very boar. Now, if you have any questions for this or anything else, please post them in the comments below or reach out to me on any of my social media. And until next time, Skål.